The Colosseum was not originally called the Colosseum.
No, that's a term that only goes back to the early Middle Ages. The Romans called it the Flavian Amphitheater because Vespasian's family name was Flavius, so Flavian. And it's an amphitheater, or kind of a double theater, an oval in shape. The Romans certainly didn't call it Colosseum, but they did call this enormous statue the Colossus. It's a statue of the sun god.
By 80 AD, the Colosseum was complete. But Vespasian didn't live to see the grand opening of his greatest monument. He had died of natural causes the previous year, so his son and successor, Titus, led the inaugural celebration. Construction on the Colosseum began in 72 AD. It was financed by the sale of precious relics taken from the Jewish temple during Vespasian's sacking of Jerusalem. 12,000 Jewish captives were brought back from that campaign to build the amphitheater.
They would have worked under tremendously harsh conditions and been worked long and hard and to the end.
They poured more than 6,000 tons of concrete and hauled huge travertine building blocks to the site from a quarry 20 miles away.
As the building progressed up higher, they would use less of the strong, expensive and heavy limestone and more of the cheaper ingredients, which were lighter in weight. The Romans had quite sophisticated wooden cranes and devices for lifting stones, and they'd be able to do that quite easily from the ground and up to great heights.
Roman amphitheaters were constructed from a surprisingly simple framework, incorporating two Greek theaters back to back to form one 360-degree theater in the round. The Colosseum set a new standard for Roman amphitheater design. It contained an intricate network of corridors and staircases that could shuffle 70,000 Romans in and out in record time. As with stadiums today, everyone who entered the Colosseum had a ticket corresponding to the number of the Colosseum, even had a retractable roof. On hot days, an awning called a velarium was unfurled above the upper deck to shade spectators from the sun. It was operated by sailors from the Roman Navy, who were stationed around the top of the Colosseum's arcade.
They could move it according to the sun and according to the wind, and subsequently, Colosseum was amazingly air-conditioned, shaded, and they would stand on top of the arcade and work these poles, the holes of which we can see in the external side, that would hold this immense canvas that would cover the place.
Of the Colosseum, we're looking down.
This is, in a way, a mirror of Roman society. The best seats are the ones farthest down, closest to the arena, and that was reserved for the emperor, top office holders, priests, and so on. Then behind them were the senators, behind them the wealthy businessmen, and behind them the freeborn normal citizens. At the very top sat women, slaves, and foreigners.
So what were they coming to watch?
As we can see now, what's going on is the main thing that we associate.
For 100 straight days, Romans flocked to the Colosseum to soak in every kind of carnage imaginable. 5,000 animals were slaughtered in a single day. Thousands of gladiators and prisoners left as corpses. Outside the arena, bloodshed on this scale was known only in war. But inside, it was pure entertainment.
They go for the entire day. And in the morning, they watch men kill or be killed by animals. And around noontime, they're watching the execution of prisoners. And then finally, in the afternoons, from the main event, primetime TV kind of experience is the best for last, and that's going to be gladiators, man against man.
Gladiatorial fights were a big draw at the Colosseum, but they weren't always the main event. Several ancient writers describe live naval battles recreated right in the middle of the arena, with battleships on water
It would have been entirely possible to have diverted.
We do have evidence due to recent studies of the Colosseum that show there are plenty of channels, water channels, for flooding the substructures of the Colosseum. So yes, it was possible, and yes, it happened.
Within a decade, flooding operations were abandoned in favor of a renovation that would revolutionize the Games. A new two-story substructure beneath the arena called the Hypogeum. Within it were a system of elevators and trapdoors that enabled tigers and armed gladiators to suddenly pop up through the floor and slaughter their unsuspecting victims.
Although the real spectacle happened up here in the arena, the backbone, the nerve center, the real support system of the arena was down below in the Hypogeum. And there were lion runs, cages for wild animals being taunted, gladiators sharpening their swords preparing for death, condemned criminals in cages. Now, as the games begin, a trapdoor in the arena floor will open, and by a system of pulleys, an elevator will hoist another lion or panther up into the arena. When the trapdoor opens, we're bathed in light. We hear the yells of the throng enjoying the games, and then the trapdoor will close again, leaving us contemplating our own demise amongst the screams and lamentations and stench of blood, beasts, and men.